I agree that crime doesn't pay, but in the case of Jack and the Beanstalk, it did. For as you know, Jack shinnied up the huge stalk, snuck into a giant's castle, and made off with a goose that laid golden harps. Or something like that. Well, sir, Jack chopped the stalk down and lived happily ever after with his ill-gotten gains. Or did he? The scene is a castle somewhere in the clouds. The time, 20 years later.
I know you're hungry, son. Well, so am I. But there isn't a scrap of food in the castle.
What about the wheat field?
You ever try getting wheat out of clouds? We're up in the air, remember?
Oh, if only Papa was still with us.
Listen, he wasn't good for anything except saying fee, fi, fo, fum. He could say that pretty good.
Can I say it?
Say it later. Right now, you've got to take the pet cow to market and sell it.
That's not a cow, Mama. It's a llama.
I don't care what it is. Go and sell it.
Being on the obedient side, the giant's son did as his mother asked.
Hey, what you got there, High Pockets?
It's a llama.
So it is. I'll give you 5 magic beans for it.
Rather have money.
You can plant beans. You can't plant money.
It made sense, so the giant returned home with the 5 magic beans.
I was hoping you'd bring back money.
Well, one of the beans has a picture of Lincoln on it.
There was naught to do but dig a hole in the clouds and drop the beans inside. The next morning, the giant awoke and looked out of his window.
Oh, darn. I was kind of hoping a beanstalk would have grown.
It did, but not up. Down.
Boy, that stalk must be 50 miles long. Climb down there, son. See if you can find us some food.
As I said before, the giant was obedient. Also, a little clumsy. But let us journey ahead of our falling star to where the beanstalk ends, right outside the magnificent manor owned by the son of the original Jack and the Beanstalk.
Jack, honey, New York's on the phone. They want to order 50 dozen golden harps.
Oh, don't tell me. Tell the goose.
Goose!
I know. I gotta lay 50 dozen golden harps for New York.
If you can, Goose, put a trilon on Perisphere on him. It'll be a nice touch.
That goose is acting sassy lately.
Well, all you give him for his work is chicken feed.
Goose feed.
At that moment, the giant finally came to earth.
Creak, cry, crow, crying. I smell the blood of a pretty big giant.
With that, Jack ran from the house, grabbing a loaded giant-killing musket on the way.
You say anything, Jack?
Negative. Just a gang of kids playing basketball.
But although those kids were tall, the one with the ball reached fantastic proportions.
I could have swore I smelled a giant.
Oh, you're overworked, dear. Go take a nap.
Jack did, and this gave the giant an opportunity to peek into the house.
Say, that looks like a golden harp laying next to that fella.
The window of Jack's bedroom wasn't very big, but it was big enough for the giant's hand to reach in and get the golden harp.
Creak, cry, crow, crying. I smell.
Those dreaded words caused the giant to bolt to the stalk and climb it in record time.
This doesn't look like food, son.
It's a golden harp.
Why couldn't you bring back a pizza or something?
But, Mama, golden harps are worth money, and there's a whole slew of them down there.
In case you didn't know, all mothers of giants are a little greedy, and this one was no exception. The son was sent back down to bring up all the golden harps he could find.
It's New York again, Jack. They want to know what happened to the harps.
Oh, don't ask me. Ask
I
the...
gave him to the delivery boy about a minute ago.
What delivery boy?
He's a big, tall fella, about as big as Mount Everest.
A giant. You gave the harps to a giant?
Once more, with his giant-killing musket, Jack ran from the house, and this time he saw the giant with an armload of harps scurrying up the beanstalk. But unfortunately, the giant was out of range.
I need someone who can catch that giant.
Luckily for our story, a sorcerer lived in the vicinity.
Of course I can get him. Do you think he might come back down for more harps?
We're all out of harps. All I got left is
A goose? You say a goose lays these harps?
Scout's honor, Mama.
Well, a goose we can eat. Fetch him, son.
The unsuspecting giant came down, probed around the house with one hand, and finally grabbed the goose. That's when Jack and the sorcerer spoke up.
Caught you in the act, you devil. Let him have it, sorcerer.
And the sorcerer handed a piece of paper to the giant, who merely put it in his pocket and climbed up the beanstalk.
What'd you give him?
A summons to appear in court.
You can't catch a giant with a summons. No, I'll never get my goose back.
Yes, you will. I shall climb up after the giant.
Yeah, but that stalk is 50 miles high. You could fall.
Not I. I am wearing a cloak that will enable me to fly.
And up went the sorcerer. Of course, the giant was no fool. When he saw that he was being pursued, he simply took an axe and chopped the stalk down. What happened to his pursuer? Well, the cloak kept him from falling, all right. In fact, to this day, he's still floating around in the air. And that's why you hear so much talk about a flying sorcerer.